Hey guys, and welcome to MultiVersus University, aka MV University. Of course, I'm joined by my brother in crime, the one and only Charles Storin, and today we're going to be talking about MultiVersus movement.
Yeah, and the movement is pretty insane. This is day one of the alpha, right, or one of the betas, the closed alpha beta, something like that. But I mean, in terms of it's very interesting. I love in off the rip the fast fall is what I noticed. You can fast fall multiple times, and once you hold down, you'll initiate fast fall, but then once you release down, you'll stop fast falling. So as you can see here, you can fast fall multiple times. The lines going downward is the indicator for fast fall. And this is, in my opinion, one of the backbone core mechanics of the game in general and to the movement, right? And I guess after that, we can get into the other just like base rules of movement. There is no run. So every character just has some kind of movement on the ground. It looks like a walk forward essentially, but there's no dash animation like in Smash Brothers. You can kind of peter back and forth, and then every character has two jumps along with two air dodges, and the air dodges can be done in 8 directions, I believe. I don't know if there's 16 direction air dodge, but I believe it is in 8 different directions. And if you air dodge to the ground, there's a specific timing in which you can air dodge to the ground and initiate, and you'll go right into a roll, and it'll carry on the roll animation. But what's nice is you can actually jump to cancel the roll. So as you see here, Bam is going into the jump afterwards, and you pretty much get a wave dash, but in a sense where you would have to commit into another jump to make it lagless. So it's not like in Melee where you can just go in, wave dash into the ground and stay grounded, right?
Yeah. One of the good things about it as well, though, is because when you're doing a dodge, essentially you can cancel, like you said, you can cancel from a jump. You can also cancel into certain attacks. So as you can see here, immediately going into that. So now that animation is being used to go into a cancel. And of course, certain actual moves themselves can be roll cancel too. Taz doesn't really have, at least from what we've seen here, he doesn't have any that are like crazy roll cancels. But again, just being able to use that in tandem with your like essentially your wave dash we talked about before. You gotta love the sounds in this game. Then he's able to go right into the attacks.
Yeah, I think the backbone of everything we're saying too is it's a culmination of a bunch of different movement options, but it kind of they all bridge together with the cancels, right? So the fact that you can cancel any kind of dodge on the ground or in the air, any directional dodge into a jump, and then there's moves that can cancel from either jump or dodge, right? So you combine all of these together, like essentially you can expand. I've just kind of messed around in training mode. You can use both your jumps and both your air dodges in a span of like less than half a second. And
Yeah.
just because you can cancel them in such tight windows, which I think will make for crazy microspacing techniques and stuff like that. Just the amount of options you have in the movement itself. And then again, if you air dodge to the ground, if you don't do it at the correct timing, you won't go into your roll animation. You'll kind of go into like this little laggier animation. So at first glance, I thought you couldn't really wave dash, but if you time it and you use the cancels, you actually can though, which is nice because again, we're seeing a bunch of these cancels and you having to have knowledge of the game to be able to unlock this advanced movement, right?
No, absolutely. And so again, it's cool too because since rolls in this game actually can cancel in attacks, right? You get when you can have these step forward, and like I told you earlier, also there's certain
Like
attacks.
a cancel.
Exactly, right? And there's certain attacks that can be canceled into dodge. So you can do that attack, then go into a dodge, then from the dodge go into attack, right? And like you said, it's the combination of all these things that really releases and unlocks MultiVersus insane movement. Like it's pretty freaking wild. It's been a while since I've played like a platformer that's had this kind of scale of movement. You'll see that kind of like you can do like hit falling type stuff too, which is really nice, and it's insane. One thing to note for people, they may look like, oh man, all this movement, what, like they can just run away, what's gonna happen? Well, one of the big things is you can see right underneath your percentage for a Taz, you can see a meter slowly gaining, and that's because when you have right here, when you have that meter, you actually have the, I believe it's like the tangibilities there, but when you actually have no meter, then that dissipates, right? So now you were very vulnerable. So someone could just hit you out of the sky, even like, and only thing you could do is weave around them versus like actually having intangibility on your dodges. So that's something that's extremely important in this game, right? Having those resources and being aware of your opponent's resources as they're weaving. Another thing I wanted to mention too is that when you do look at platforms in this game, if you hold down, you will not go through them. But if you hold down and press A, you can go ahead and go right through them.
A being jump.
Yes.
So just like Nickelodeon All-Stars, I think this is great because you negate having an input, like a specific input to get off platforms. I think avoids these feelings of sticky platforms that you get in Ultimate as well. And there's a lot of cool things as well with the edges. You do carry your momentum from the edge when you do something like an air dodge into the edge of the stage and stuff like that. You carry that momentum off stage, so you're able to either cling into the wall or go for an attack that shoots you forward with your momentum, right? Another thing to take into account as well, this isn't just really along with movement, but it's more along with recovery. But while you're in the air, you can only do 2 special moves. Not every character's up B is their quote-unquote recovery move. Like Taz doesn't really have recovery specials. I think his side B is probably his best one for getting distance. And then, of course, you can cancel the side B into a jump, right? So. But when you cling into the wall, you actually get all of your resources back. But again, so some people might be thinking, oh, people are going to stall on the off stage and stuff like that. Eventually, you kind of just lose all of that blue meter right there for the dodging, right? For having that intangibility. So you're kind of just moving around off stage and someone can just come out and dunk you, right? So whenever you do cling to the wall, both your jumps and both of your dodges are refreshed. So I think this to me reminds me a little bit of Brawlhalla in terms of how crazy the offstage might get, because in Brawlhalla you have a lot of resources offstage. So sometimes edge guards in Brawlhalla actually tend to be like multiple reps of edge guarding, right? Because you have to go through so much resources.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you do have to be careful there. And again, one of the biggest things is like they have to go back to the wall, right? So the thing that I do like about this is because there's not like a ledge, you're not going to get your intangibility back. The goal of edge guarding in this game is to once again use a basketball analogy, is you are trying to be between your opponent and the basket, right? AKA the basket being the ledge. When the ball comes off, right, when you're able to protect yourself. So in this game, you just want to be around the edge. You know they have to go back to the wall to replenish their resources, or they have to go over you, right? And then so the goal is now preventing your opponent from going over you here and being like you can either jump, chase them up as well and attack them, or of course if you're trying to you see them drifting towards the wall in order to get their resources after they've expended them, then you just go down yourself and you just punish them for it, make it happen.
Right, and as the edge guarder, you can also use the wall to replenish your resources as
exactly.
well. So it's definitely not only a resource for the player recovering. You can run off stage, grab the wall, and just see kind of where they go. Let them know, like, hey, I'm actually covering low. You might not want to go here. And then maybe your teammate can cover high. Remember, this is a doubles game, or it's designed for 2v2.
Yeah.
And I guess one last thing I want to mention is the Marvel-like movement. You can just do simple stuff like dash forward, fast fall down, and you can get around like these kind of like this kind of triangle movement, which reminds me a lot of like Magneto and Marvel, right? And that's not even using any of the dodges. And again, this branches from having that momentum when you go forward, and when you fast fall, you don't lose all of your horizontal momentum, right? So from that dash or run or whatever we're going to call it, since there is technically no run or walk in this game, from your grounded movement when you jump and then you fast fall, like you can just create this very simple triangular motion combined with everything else. I feel like there's so many different movement options in this game, and you kind of are able to combine it all. And this is just day one that we're seeing, so I'm very excited to see players get really creative with the movement in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, as we talked about earlier, there are certain moves that will go in. They are dash cancelable, or dodge cancelable rather. And also, just because of specific movement options for characters, you'll see a lot of cool things. Now, to know a lot of the stats in this game in terms of movement stats are generally the same throughout. So it's for characters you're not going to see any huge difference like you'll see in certain other platform fighters, right? You're not going to see a fast-forward character versus a floaty character in that way. But you have certain moves that are certain attacks that maybe seem floatier, and then you'll have certain attacks that do things like this. Like, for example, Batman, where he's actually gets a dash that comes from the second side because he has a unique float. So he can do things here that most other characters can't do.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing to note as well is aerials actually cancel your vertical momentum up. Usually in platform fighters, when you do a short hop aerial, you'll do the aerial rising upwards. But if you can display, Bam, just doing a short hop fair and how it's pretty much next to the ground. It essentially looks like a it looks like almost a grounded move.
Yeah.
If you do it fast enough, right? So it's like the fact that all of your aerials just cancel your vertical momentum upwards, and you can essentially do instant aerials next to the ground is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And that is going to be combined with the movement. I think that, I mean, technically it's not a movement thing, but it kind of is, just because, I mean, whenever you cut your momentum, that's such a big deal, right? So again, another core mechanics of the game that's very different from other platform fighters, but I think works very well in the engine. Oh,
absolutely. It's absolutely insane because, like, again, you're getting certain angles that you usually wouldn't be able to get before, and so it adds an extra layer of pressure. And the thing about this game is you don't have the general, like, the light and strong or the you know, the tilt versus smash. But the way that you can utilize your specials and the way you can utilize your normal attacks, you can charge them, you can like charge them the same before, you can do them low from the ground, like Charles had already said, and that opens up just a new avenue of additional pressure and movement. And that's the big thing, right? When the platform fighter, one of the greatest things about it is it's a platformer, right? And you have that insane movement. Dude, Batman's so sick. Look at this dude, man. Look at this cat, bro. Look at this dude. Don't forget that, man. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. So, again, it allows for new custom movement that we just really haven't seen before in this level. And so it's pretty sick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's it, unless you had anything else to add, Bam, in terms of movement. It's a lot to take in. But I will tell you, just from my first impression, I was having so much fun with just moving around in training mode with this game. And I think there, in terms of movement options, you have a ton of them. And to me, that's the most important thing in any platform fighter is the movement. Yeah,
absolutely agree. And of course, we're going to go and do a longer video, you know, once we all get familiar with the game and really break down the quality of movement that is in MultiVersus. But of course, we want to put out a primer for you guys first, make sure that you guys can see what level of the movement. I think a lot of people initially, when they saw the game, they felt like maybe it could be a little bit floaty. They didn't really know if they could weave, and everyone's like, oh, can you wave dash? And it's like, dude, there's so much more in this game, I believe. And even just some of the traditional mechanics we've seen in platform fighters to increase movement and speed, they make it very, very versatile in a combination I haven't seen in a very long time. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please feel free to like, follow, and subscribe. You know, we're going to continue to push out more content. This is a game we've been waiting for pretty avidly. So like now is go time for us, and so we're excited to make content. Hope you guys are excited to learn with us. And until next time, class dismissed.